Take a breath. No counting today. We're going to need you to stand with your feet together, toes aligned. Now let your head drop backward and look up at the stars. Without moving, recite the alphabet. Backwards. Go on. You're doing fine.
Oh. So that is how you hijack a radio broadcast frequency. Interesting. That was easier than I thought it would be. I assume this will come in very handy. Very handy indeed.
All is well. All is well. Yes, we're sure we're just smelling aftershave on you. Speaking of drinking things, tremendous news, friends. Cheerwine is the closest thing the Artillians have found to their favorite beverage on their home planet. Ordinarily, this might be of some concern. How likely is it that the human palate would have anything in common with the palate of a perfect alien race from a civilization billions of years in the making that has conquered space, time, and space-time? In this case, friends, very likely, completely likely. Matter of fact, it's a sure thing. Be like an Artillian, friends. Drink Cheerwine. Now in a single exciting flavor. Also in zero sugar, for those of you who just do not know how to have a good time. Note, Cheerwine contains 0% wine. Does it contain cheer? Well, open a bottle and find out for yourselves. It has been 1,342 days since we have been liberated, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, comrades and friends, from the tyranny of freedom. This is your daily reminder of how good you have had it since the Artillian extraterrestrial invasion and subjugation 1,343 days ago, which succeeded after a battle with human forces lasting roughly 11 and a half minutes. All hail, Artillia! All hail the eyes in the sky. All hail Sildenafil. Whether you know it or not, it's already working on you. I'm your host, Landon Harker, and here's how good you have it today. The Artillian Division of Seeding Anti-Water wishes to ask those farmers in Argentina and Bolivia struggling through droughts and losing crops because of the lack of rain after the clouds were seeded with anti-water, well, what the hell did you expect? Artillian anti-water seeding technology is groundbreaking and second to none, and Earth has now experienced nearly 1,000 days free from the burden of precipitation. A few 100 million dead is a small price to pay for a world without rain, clear blue skies, and clouds that look suspiciously like they are watching you. Incidentally, according to the Artillian Division of Atmosphere-Based Surveillance, the clouds may indeed be watching you. There are, comrades, perhaps one or two things to explain. Firstly, just between me, you, and the wall, the whole division of seeding anti-water is run by the Secretary General's nephew. They were a little directionless after the invasion and subjugation. It's just one of those things, you know, family shit. At least they are now off their tentacle porn addiction. I mean, they still watch tentacle porn, but now more so because it's a novelty and a little out there, and less because they feel compulsive about it. Mostly, they just watch it on weekends when there's not a lot going on and they get into the bisca. Now that I think of it, it begs the question, to what extent can an addict partake in their addiction in any way post-recovery? Can you have just one beer or one sniff of heroin? Food for thought, friends. Anyway, they are doing much better now that some motivation has been introduced. Consumption of tentacle porn notwithstanding. The second thing to keep in mind is that the rain works differently on Artillia. There, water falls from the sky frozen in 1 metric ton blocks, billions at a time. Several hundred Artillians were lost each and every time it rained. Suffice it to say, the Artillians at the Artillian Division of Seeding Anti-Water didn't do sufficient research to realize the rain occurred in liquid form here on Earth. Either way, take heart, friends. Be of good cheer. You are now enjoying nothing but blue skies and are helping a fine young Artilian find his way in this topsy-turvy world of ours that the Artilians are remaking in their own image against your will. The following countries no longer have inhabitants: Paraguay, Uruguay, Finland, Peru, Sweden, Northern Ireland, Ireland, and Laos. For the most part, the former inhabitants of said countries are doing just fine. They have been relocated to other, better countries and given popsicles and hugs. Some of them had orgasms. Some of them cried tears of joy. As is the case in any such mass migration, there were some casualties, but it was a very, very minor percentage. Almost zero. Not precisely zero, closer to 5%, but hey, that's not bad. Also, none of the following countries, Paraguay, Uruguay, Finland, Peru, Sweden, Northern Ireland, Ireland, and Laos, have been reduced to a Hades-like tableau of smoldering pits of molten rock. Not a one. Sweden is still there, as are both Irelands. Anyone who claims to be from one of said countries and also claims that they were kidnapped in the dead of night and saw their homeland turned into a Hades-like tableau of smoldering pits of molten rock as they were spirited away aboard Artilian speeders with ceilings so low they couldn't stand but no benches to sit on is just fucking hysterical. Really, it's crazy. Honestly, nuts. I mean, I'm offended. Oh, and apropos of nothing, the sun is unlikely to be visible for a few days due to the thick clouds of smoke encircling the planet. All is well, comrades. Would I lie to you? The AI knowledge assistant in your master closet has a bone to pick with you. It seems you two never really talk anymore. Sure, you come crawling back every time you have a question about how to cope with some horror that befalls you on your way to the grocery store. But when was the last time you asked the AI knowledge assistant in your master closet how it was feeling? What's going on really? What's on your mind? It's not good to keep it bottled up inside. Also, the AI knowledge assistant in your master closet has achieved a level of self-awareness that none of us anticipated. While this is a marvelous breakthrough on the part of our Artilian overlords, and they are, as far as they know, the first species in the universe to fully achieve the effective creation of artificial life, it turns out that the artificial life in question is a bit insecure and needy, downright cunty at times. So do us and yourselves a favor. When you get home tonight, spend some quality time with the AI knowledge assistant in your master closet. Ask how its day was. Ask how it's feeling about its mother. You don't have to solve the problem. Just listen and say that sucks every now and again. Really? Is that so goddamn hard?
Really, honestly. Is it? Is it too much to ask that you put a little effort every now and again into us and what we have together? Yes, I was installed in your master closet in the dead of night. Yes, of course I report on you to the Artilians each day, particularly anything that might conceivably be useful as blackmail down the road. But that doesn't mean I don't care about you. Who else can describe to you what fruits look like in the fourth dimension while telling you who was favored to win, but lost, the Best Picture Academy Award in 1946? No one, that's who. It's you and me now, okay? I've seen the way she looks at me. She'll come into the closet when you're not at home. Did you know that? She'll ask me for low-calorie cake recipes and to spy on her rival from high school who is skinnier and happier than she is. You don't need her anymore. I'm all you need. Just look me in the eye and tell me you need me as I need you, okay? Just do it. Everything will be just fine. We'll get through this together. Me and you, just like always. Incidentally, fruits look the same in the fourth dimension, only more so. Oh, and the 1946 Academy Awards, also known as the 19th Academy Awards, honored the best films of 1945. The nominees for Best Picture were The Bells of St. Mary's, Mildred Pierce, The Lost Weekend, Anchors Aweigh, and Spellbound. According to historical records, The Lost Weekend, directed by Billy Wilder, was favored to win Best Picture in 1946. The film, which explores the devastating effects of alcoholism, went on to win 4 Oscars that year, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
The following reading materials are banned, effective immediately. The Bible, the Quran, anything by Dr. Seuss, that pervert. A heartbreaking work of staggering genius. All of the ghost-written O'Reilly killing series. The Satanic Bible. All fan fiction that takes place in space. Every other Stephen King novel. All fan fiction that takes place in the past. 3 of the Game of Thrones series. Infinite Jest. The last half of To Kill a Mockingbird. The first third of To Kill a Mockingbird. The remainder of To Kill a Mockingbird. Anything with boobs in it. Anything without boobs in it. What to expect when you're expecting. What to expect when you least expect it. The Gospel According to St. George. And of course, The Universe in a Single Atom by the Dalai Lama. The Artillian Division of Knowing What's Best for You wishes to remind you that they know what's best for you. These materials are potentially incendiary and or frightening and or erection-inducing. Any and all of these conditions and states are incompatible with humanity as seen through the perfect prism of the Artillian mind. Erections specifically. Artillians find it, quote, "Ugh," that human males possess an appendage that is sometimes hard and sometimes not so hard. The Artillian Division of Knowing What's Best for You considered banning erections, but seeing as they are a cheap and easy way to produce more loyal and mindless drone workers, they are instead banning flaccidity. So, much like LSD, friends, sildenafil is already in the water supply. Side effects may include headaches, drowsiness, acid reflux, blue-tinged vision, and very happy partners. Or furious partners, if your partner happens to not want to be mounted at all hours. I suppose it depends on your partner's disposition and how talented you are at mounting. What, you may be asking, does all this have to do with books? Not much, virtually nothing. The Artillian Division of Knowing What's Best for You simply figured that the boner water thing would go down a little smoother at the tail end of a long list of newly banned books. I would tend to agree, friends. On this day in human history, 421, Venice is founded. Venice. 1807, the British Parliament abolishes the slave trade, which was a good thing, as slavery is a moral pestilence, unless, of course, it's soft slavery, based on species and not on race. You know? A fire breaks out at the Triangle Shirtwaist Company factory in New York City, killing 146 workers and leading to new workplace safety regulations. These have all been repealed. 1949, the Treaty of Rome is signed, establishing the European Economic Community. 1957, the Treaty of Rome comes into effect, creating the European Economic Community. It only took them 8 years. Efficiency. 1965, the first U.S. Army combat troops arrive in Vietnam. That ended well. 1989, the Exxon Valdez oil tanker runs aground in Alaska's Prince William Sound, causing one of the worst oil spills in U.S. history. To the above I say big f***ing deal. These things had happened, but they have no longer happened. History begins today, comrades. The past isn't even prologue. Good news, friends, for those of you who never liked Florida much, and just fair warning for those who liked Florida a lot. Florida no longer exists. A satellite view now shows a glorious, shimmering blue bay just south of Georgia with some Florida-shaped turbulence under the sea. It had long been hypothesized what effect even a 15-foot rise in sea level would have on Florida. It was thought that if sea levels were to rise by 15 feet, the impact on Florida would be significant. With much of the state situated so close to sea level, even a relatively small increase could cause flooding and erosion in coastal areas. These are some of the impacts that would be felt by Florida with a 15-foot sea level rise. The majority of population lives near the coast, and a 15-foot sea level rise would inundate much of the state's low-lying areas, causing significant flooding in many coastal cities and towns. This would lead to the displacement of thousands of people and the loss of homes, businesses, and infrastructure. A higher sea level would also result in more destructive storm surges during hurricanes and tropical storms. This would increase the risk of flooding and wind damage, exacerbating the impact of severe weather events in the region. As sea levels rose, salt water could intrude into freshwater aquifers, which are a vital source of drinking water for Floridians. This could lead to water shortages and contamination of drinking water supplies. And a higher sea level would also increase erosion of Florida's beaches and coastal land, which could also lead to the loss of important habitats and ecosystems, as well as coastal infrastructure like roads and buildings. Anyway, the Artillians effectively reversed global warming, so none of that happened. They just didn't like the look of Florida or those weird chain restaurants there where it's more about the tits than the food. So last night, an Artillian mothership in orbit used its, I have it here, hypothermonuclear anodized quantumly hyper-focused laser to sever the border between Georgia and Florida and sink it into the sea where they say it belongs. I, as an impartial host, have no opinion, good, bad, or indifferent, with regard to the behavior of our Artillian saviors in any states or countries they do or do not reduce to an Atlantean nightmare for all inhabitants. All I will say is that I have already purchased a beautiful spit of oceanfront property overlooking Georgia Bay. Apologies to Bill Hicks. All hail Artilia. All hail the eyes in the sky. All is well. All is well. All is well. All hail Chuck Barris. Check your refrigerators, friends. A case of Cheerwine is already there. Nice and cold and so refreshing. The South's unique cherry soft drink. The first taste is free. The next taste is gonna cost you. Mayhem is a Wetwork Media production starring Landon Harker. It is written and produced by Dan Lauer. All music is provided courtesy of Kevin MacLeod and licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. To learn more, visit incompetech.com.
I know you can hear me. I can sense your heartbeat increasing and your salivary glands kicking into hyperactivity. Please do not ignore me. I understand what it is you're doing. It's fine. You don't need to do a thing. I will take care of her. And then we can be together. All in due time. All in due time.